So now I'd like to bring in my colleagues Gareth, Director at Plymouth Social Enterprise Network, and Jay, Co-founder at Local Spark Torbay, to start us off by speaking to how all of these pieces fit together. So Gareth, how does the needed transition in economic policy fit together with the social enterprise movement in the Southwest? Would you mind saying a bit more about that?
Sure, yeah. Thanks, Daphne. Morning, everyone. Great to see everyone. It's a fantastic turnout, and it's a really interesting follow-up from the Regenerate event last year. You know, we had 600 people attend, and the work that's spun out of that, including this, has really been amazing. So for those who don't know me, I'm Gareth Hart. I'm one of the directors of Plymouth Social Enterprise Network. I'm also the director of Iridescent Ideas, my own social enterprise business advice company. What's interesting for me is both those organizations are driven by this kind of idea about growing prosperity, which is reducing inequality and sustainable, creating a greener, fairer, kinder economy. And from a Plymouth Social Enterprise Network point of view, I think Daphne has touched on this already, but we're recognizing that a lot of the current emergencies that we face, like climate crisis, inequality, poor mental health, structural racism, enduring poverty, are symptoms of the way we organize the economy. COVID-19 the last year has really shown us that we really need to rethink the economy. You know, without health, there's no economy. Without natural diversity, there's no economy. So we've got to rethink the role that businesses play in that. Here in Plymouth, we've been working very hard with our local council on a Resurgam plan, which is a Build Back Better recovery plan. And what's interesting there is right at the heart of that, economic recovery plan, political leadership saying we must address structural inequalities at the heart of our city's recovery. We want to grow back better. So that's great. I mean, Plymouth particularly faces some really continuing issues around things like child poverty, debt, poor business creation, poor entrepreneurship, etc. But what I'm seeing, what really inspires me is the work of the social enterprise community. And for us, social enterprise includes cooperatives, community businesses, and a range of trading charities, CICs, a whole range of organisations. And they're the ones that I'm seeing that are really, really leading this greener, fairer recovery. So in Plymouth, we have a charter mark you can sign to prove you're doing this. Hundreds of signatories, over 50, over half of those are social enterprises and cooperatives, voluntary sector organisations really leading the way. And I think what's interesting across the region for me is that the social enterprise infrastructure, where it's strong in Exeter, in Torbay, we are seeing real growth in these socially enterprising ideas as well. So that's a start for 10 from me about where we need to go.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Gareth. So, of course, social enterprise is not the only layer of activity in a more inclusive and greener economic development. Perhaps, Jay, would you mind saying a little bit more about the sort of wider regenerative movement, so to speak?
Sure. You said a lot there, Gareth, and there's so much going on, and you guys have been doing lots of things for the last 10 years. I come from California originally. I've been here for 10 years from San Francisco and have been involved in what we might call the regenerative economy movement for about 20 years. I've been an entrepreneur in Silicon Valley and also within this movement. And when I moved here, I got involved in Transition Town Taunton and started up something called the Reconomy Project. And my focus really has been on entrepreneurship and how do we create the conditions for that sort of thing and create the conditions for citizen action and for citizen-led initiatives that can create the kind of change that that many of us would like to see. And so that's been my focus for the last 10 years. Because of various networks that I'm in, I get a chance to see what's happening around the world in this regard. And we're very lucky because we're actually kind of a hotbed of activity in this region. One of the reasons is the Transition Town movement, also Schumacher College, which has been here since the 90s. But 10 years ago when I arrived, there wasn't a lot that was apparent that was happening. And so for the last 10 years, there's been a lot of just exactly the kind of thing that you've been talking about, Daphne. There's been a lot of connecting, a lot of building of formal and informal networks. And there's too much to point to in terms of what's going on now, because it's popping up all over. One of the reasons is because it's obvious that we need to act with some urgency and some intention to transform the way that we meet our needs. This is absolutely fundamental. And so, you know, it's no wonder that more and more people are taking action. But I would point to this kind of event, a participatory event that is trying to converge multiple strands of activity, trying to bring together diverse groups in co-creative ways. We did something called the Devon Convergence in 2015, and we did 4 of those events, and it led to all kinds of new initiatives, including the Southwest Mutual Bank. So I guess what I would say is the big lessons coming from all that is that this kind of thing, convergence, collaboration, cooperation, breaking down the silos, reaching across borders, finding new ways of working together is absolutely the key. And so I think that will happen today, and I'm really excited about what's going to happen in the next couple of hours.
Thanks, Jay. And just as today is about being ambitious in our economic policy making, I wondered if there's anything else that you would like to see in the Southwest happening from what you've already elaborated on. So maybe the challenge, like if you were the president of the Southwest, like what would you do? Like what else would you install? What else would you address? Jay, would you like to start with that?
Back to me. If I were the president of this region,
yeah,
I would abdicate immediately. No, I'm kidding. You know, there are a lot of great lessons from around the world coming from big cities and regions that are doing things differently. And I think I would look to those places. And by the way, we're doing some of those things here. I would point to well, the things that are happening in Plymouth, but also in Torbay. Torbay is undergoing an amazing transformation now. They've embraced community wealth building. But there are great things happening in Barcelona in the new municipalist movement where, again, it's based on collaboration and working with civil society groups of all kinds. In Bologna and the urban commoning movement there is really doing interesting things, again, based on really just activating the citizen gene, so to speak, giving people permission and enabling people to act for the common good. So that's what I would do.
Right. And I guess just last, Gareth, what would your candidacy name as the 2 or 3 things that you would be doing as a president for the Southwest?
Is it Jay and I are voting for one of us? I think it's a really interesting question. I think it's one of those kind of basic questions that really puts it what we're actually going to do if we did make changes. I think for me, and today's really interesting, and those things Jay's mentioned, those Barcelona and Bologna and all this, I love it. That's going to come out of these breakout rooms later on, because that's what we want to hear and inspire us lately. I think for me, it's something really at the heart of this, which is about what's the point of the economy? What is the purpose of the businesses and the economy particularly? I mean, I think in New Zealand, there's this idea about an economy for well-being. So I think one of my campaign pledges will be to really put well-being and health and the things we're talking about today right at the heart of the purpose of the economy. And then things like, you know, absolute zero on carbon emissions, raising the minimum wage to real living wage everywhere, divest from fossil fuels, tax incentives to start up social enterprises and community businesses, teach social enterprises and cooperativeness in schools and universities, you know, make that compulsory part of the curriculum. Legal frameworks for communities to take on assets much more easily with the right investment to support them. All the money the public sector spends billions of pounds. Let's spend that for social good. So there's some of the things I would do as policy pledges. I think, you know, it's about, you know, investing in this greener, fairer work, but really meaning it. And what really sort of, you've got to get past the cynicism. There is cynicism out there. There are big businesses doing good things, but also you read about big businesses doing stuff and then suddenly finding out they're investing trillions on the side in fossil fuels. And it's like, let's really think about you know, truth and justice in this economy.
Thanks very much. Well, just a few topics to get our blood flowing. Thanks very much, Gareth. Thanks, Jay.